Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Content Matters podcast. I have some great news for you all today. This rest of this season of the podcast is going to be sponsored by LavaCon Content Strategy Conference. We're really excited that they're doing this with us today. LavaCon is happening this October in Charlotte, North Carolina. It brings together content strategists, documentation managers, and other content professionals to share what works, what doesn't, and what's next. What's next is like what's next the next minute kind of thing, but with more than 70 seat sessions and hands-on workshops featuring speakers from companies like Salesforce, TikTok, T-Mobile, and Amazon, you'll leave with practical ideas that you can put to work right away. And yes, LavaCon is not all business. It is fun. It is called the Fun Conference. You'll find therapy dogs, comfort llamas, network receptions, and the conference's annual storytelling and karaoke nights. Come for the learning, leave with ideas, new friends, and maybe a llama memory that you weren't expecting. And if you use the discount code CMLC26, you can get $2,200 off the cost of registration. So I want to say a big thank you to LavaCon for this. Jack and I will talk more about that in a little bit, but I first wanted to introduce you to who's our guest today. Jack's the president of ProSpring Technical Staffing. That's an employment agency specializing in content professionals, both contract and permanent. I'll leave a link in the show notes to Jack's company in case you're interested in connecting there. He also produces the LavaCon Conference, who is our new media sponsor. And I'll make sure the link to the conference is also in the show notes. And Jack is the author of Be the Captain of Your Career, a new approach to career planning and advancement. That hit number 5 on Amazon's career and resume bestseller list, which is very, very cool. You'll have to tell us about that too, Jack. And at the end of the podcast, Jack said that he's going to be raffling a free virtual pass to LavaCon. So stay tuned. You have to stay till the end of the live taping. Otherwise, you don't get a chance to be in that. So thank you, Jack. Thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. So this is a really interesting topic for me today. I know we're talking specifically about technical writers and jobs, but I think that a lot of what you're going to talk about today is applicable to anybody looking for a job, any writer, I think, but anyone, because I think some of the tips you're going to give are really kind of hands down good for everybody to learn. So I'm excited to kind of get started into this topic.
Okay. And this is something you can share with your job hunting friends as well afterwards.
Yep, definitely. So, okay, here's the first thing. Everybody's hearing it. AI will take your job. It's in marketing, it's in sales, it's in development, and now we're hearing it a lot more in documentation teams and things like that. So is that what you're hearing, and why do you think that that's the case?
Yes, it's true, but not for us. If you are a medical coder where you're just listening to dictation and typing in a code for a medical procedure, AI can do that, right? If you're doing data entry, AI can do that. AI cannot plan an enterprise-wide content strategy initiative, all right? So what I'm seeing is not, AI is going to replace us. It's going to make us faster, smarter, streamlined, but not replaced.
Yeah.
However, that's not the message that the AI vendors are pitching to the CEOs, right? Use our tool and lay off half your workforce. And I think a lot of the CEOs are drinking the Kool-Aid, but finding out it's not true. However, it's your job as the listening audience is to make sure that your upper management knows what can you do with AI, what can't you. And to illustrate that, I've had 2 conversations the past 2 weeks with 2 companies who had completely opposite approaches to implementing AI in the content teams. One company, they asked me not to name names, so I won't.
Yeah.
The content team was on the AI development project from day one. And they were an integral part of the AI development team. How does our content fit into the process. Where are you getting our content from? Where is it going to? And as such, you now have this tool that the whole enterprise is using as one harmonious development environment. Contrast that with somebody who called me saying, hey, they just laid off 1/4 of our writers, gave us an AI and said, here, use this, with no input from the content team at all. Right? One of my favorite analogies is the seagulls from the movie Finding Nemo, the animated movie. Wherever they see food, they go mine, 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 mine. Right? So we as content professionals, we're the content professionals. We should be going, no, that's my project. I should be on that committee. I should be driving that bus, not sitting on the bus, or God forbid, missing the bus altogether.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've been beating the drum for years is this is not a time to sit back and hopefully something nice happens to you. You need to be proactive in your career, in your job, in your professional development. Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of what's driving that replacement kind of talk is that organizations tend to treat their documentation teams as cost centers? It's just something you tick off. It's not important, so we don't think the people on those teams are important necessarily.
I'm agreeing with you with the qualification that not all companies view content that way.
Right.
And there seems to be two completely viewpoints, not a lot in the middle. Either you're a commodity to be acquired for the lowest possible price, given an acceptable level of quality, or you're integral to the product. It's part of the development. It's part of the product. You are part of the product development team, right?
Yeah.
So if you are part of an organization that views you as an integral part of the product development team, that's not so much the case as then, we're shipping a product next week. We should probably have a manual or a knowledge base. What
Yeah.
can we do in a week? Right.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of what I'm going to be talking about, I like to say the stories will branch and they come together again in this nice bow at the end. And here's one of those branches that if you are interviewing for a job or interviewing for a promotion within your company, you have to show value. How do you bring value to your organization? Either by reducing costs, generating revenue, or being part of the product development team. And an analogy I use in my company, we used to do more outsourced writing than staffing. And we did a project for a consumer electronics product. And they were just getting hammered because if you plugged it in before inserting the driver, the only way to fix it is go in and edit the system registry. It was horrible. So they came to us and they had a quick start guide that went from here to Texas,
Yeah.
So we created a box stop that went, stop, insert the CD first. When we did that, tech support calls went down 95% in the first 6 weeks they shipped the product.
Wow.
You better believe I quoted that number in every single sales and interview I went on. Right. So I tell people, have you reduced tech support calls? Go to your tech support and say, hey, what are the 10 most common calls you get? Maybe we can reduce that. It's called call deflection, or maybe we'll create a knowledge base. So I said, before you pick up the phone and call tech support, check the knowledge base. And a minimum, people go, well, I don't have those numbers. I said, okay, fine. You documented a product, right? Whether it's accounting software, whatever it is. Find out how much revenue your company made by selling that product. $1.2 million. Great. I was part of the product development team that generated $1.2 million for my company. You don't have to say what percentage of you did. You could have been 0.003% of that, but you were still part of that product development team.
Right.
Own it, promote it, let people know.
How do you do that if you're a technical writer within a team where maybe your manager or your team lead doesn't think that way or it isn't kind of in that mindset yet?
Or if you're in a matrix organization where you're supporting multiple teams,
Yeah.
I would claim credit for every single one of those things. I helped generate $17 million worth of revenue last year. What did you do? Right? So
Yeah.
it's not even about your, all right, let's back up a step. It's one thing. Now we're getting to personal public relations, right?
Okay. Yeah.
It's, are you letting people know what you're doing, right? Are you generating revenue? Maybe you're not. Are you helping the company save money? Maybe you're not. Well, guess what? You're probably going to be the first person laid off.
Hmm.
Or even if you are, maybe your boss doesn't know you are, or their boss's boss. So one of the things that I see are the very successful companies, departments, are the one that put out an internal newsletter. This is what our team has been doing. This is the new releases we supported. This is the amount of tech support calls we deflected, right? But if people don't know what you're doing, then it doesn't matter really how good you're doing, because you could be layoff fodder.
Yeah.
So you have to let people know. Now, getting back to what you just asked, because I kind of didn't actually answer your question. What do you do if you have a boss that doesn't value you, or a department that doesn't value you? Well, you have two options. Either make your works well known so they do value you, or maybe it's time to find a new job.
Right.
Find somebody who does value you.
It's pretty simple when you think
Yeah.
of it that way. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go back to the personal public relations thing, because I think
Mhm.
that's interesting. I like the newsletter idea, because even if you're a technical writer in a team and not the manager, you could take that upon yourself and say, go to your team lead or your manager and say, look, I want to start creating this to show people the efforts that we're doing and the work we're doing. Can I do it? And that's a step forward for them to make themselves known in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another thing kind of related to this, but off to just to the side, is at my conference, granted, to go to any conference, you have to put in a budget request, right? And what is the return on investment to going to a conference, any conference, right? Shockingly, no company has all this money sitting around. They don't know what to do with it. Let's give it to Barb. No, if you want them to spend money, you have to show what's in it for them.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of times I'll open the conference with, how many people in this room know what your company's mission statement is and can recite it? Raise your hand. One person, maybe two.
Yeah.
Right? You have to show that what you do forwards your company's mission statement, because that's what they're putting money into, right? Marketing gets money because they make money. Sales departments get money because they make money.
Right.
Tech support, not so much. Content teams, maybe less, right?
Yeah. So what if you're out of a job now and you're trying to find, how do you kind of do public relations in that perspective for yourself?
As a recruiter, one of the phenomenon that I've observed over the years, and I'm not saying it's logical or it's good, I'm just saying it exists, is this perception that if you're not working now, or if you've been out of work for a while, something must be wrong with you. You must be damaged goods.
Yeah.
The other thing they see, if they're looking for XYZ, they want you to be doing XYZ now, not 2 or 3 or 5 jobs ago, right? So one of the things that I tell people is, don't just sit at home watching TV eating Del Monte Clean Peaches and heavy syrup, right? Go out and maybe volunteer somewhere, but not as a docent at the museum saying, go to an organization. Avoid religious organizations and political organizations because you could alienate half your potential audience. But go to an organization you believe in, said, hey, do you need help with your policies and procedures? Do you need help updating your website? And then you can say, from May 2026 to present, independent contractor working on projects such as, and then you list those.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you got paid in pizza and Coke. Well, nowhere in your resume do you say how much you got paid at your other jobs,
Yeah.
right?
So
But
why would
that's
that
what,
matter?
right?
Yeah.
But it shows you've got a work ethic. You've got initiative, and maybe this is where you start learning these tools that people are using now. And here's an allied story. There's a authoring tool called FrameMaker, and it has this feature called conditional text. It's basically a variable. For example, the Mazda 626 and the Ford Probe were the exact same car, just rebranded, right? They
Really?
were. Yeah. So the user manual had a variable either called car name 626 or Ford Probe, and you changed it and printed it back when we had printed manuals. Remember those?
Yep.
Right. So I was going on an interview for a technical writing job. This is decades ago. And one of the requirements was experience with conditional text and frame. So I downloaded a trial copy of FrameMaker, or I bought a used copy. I don't remember at this point. And I taught myself conditional text. And at the time, we had the Society for Technical Communication, which is now defunct, but you could easily join a content meetup. And I said, anybody wanting to learn conditional text, meet me at Starbucks on Saturday morning, bring your laptop. So I taught this little group how to do conditional text in FrameMaker. So when I went on the interview and they asked, can I do conditional text? I said, do conditional text. I've taught conditional text. And
That's
got the
pretty
job.
hard. Yeah.
Now, I am not advocating everybody do a Cher impersonation in a job interview. It just happened to work for me.
Did you really do that in the
I
interview?
did. I absolutely did. Yes.
Okay.
But I
That's
also,
funny.
if it was a bank, I probably would have done this, but it was more of kind of a startup, and the manager, I knew that would fly, right? But the point of the story is to go out and be proactive in learning these tools, right?
Yeah.
One of the big things in structured authoring is the DITA standard. And if you've never done structured authoring, learn it. Scriptorium.com has a course called Learning DITA. I think it's actually learningdita.com now, where you can learn DITA in a free online course. I think the first level is free and then you pay for the advanced courses.
Yeah.
But learn DITA, right? And then do something to put on your resume.
Because
Right.
that's important, right? Because today, not all documentation teams work with structured content. They might work in tools that aren't, they might still work in Microsoft Word or Google Docs and kind of work, or Confluence wikis, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not
Mm-hmm.
structured. But that's a skill that's coming into very high demand with AI initiatives that
Ding,
you're
ding, 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 ding.
structured.
All right, I got my little bell. Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So if they don't know that, this is the time to really start learning it, right?
But isn't it funny that we have known for years why structured authoring is good, and the rest of the world is just now catching up?
Yeah.
Again, you position yourself as a structured content authoring expert. And the whole thing about AI, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah.
right? Where if your content isn't structured and related to other pieces, we call that semantically rich,
Hmm.
right? Then the AI is just going to, grab anything it sees.
Yeah.
Ooh, I want to circle back to one thing and then go back to your question.
Okay.
We were talking earlier about mine, and being part of the AI initiative. One of the things that companies are finding that without content's input, the AI team is going out to SharePoint, grabbing copies of the content, feeding it to the LLM without actually putting weighted priority on the later versions, right? And so often with AI, their definition of truth is which document has this word in it the most times, right?
Yeah.
So if they search for something and it shows up the most times 2 versions back, they give, oh, here's the correct answer. No, that answer is 2 releases wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah, without our input to say, no, this is our truth. You need to use this document. You used this content.
Yeah.
again, it's us saying we're the experts. We need to be part of that team.
Yeah, because they have the knowledge of what's written and what's most recent and what's good content versus what else might be stored out there. And, the AI teams connect to because it's just a bunch of content and they think, let's just ingest it all and see what happens. It
Yeah,
doesn't work that way.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. You also talked about two other courses that technical writers should take right now that aren't even related to technical writing at all. So tell me about those courses.
It's shocking. No one has ever guessed this, but thank you for bringing it up. One is I advise everyone to take a class on public speaking, most notably Toastmasters. It's a nonprofit organization in almost every city, and it's a very safe space to learn how to do public speaking. So many writers or content professionals, because now we have designers and architects and everything else, got into writing or content because I could just sit in my computer and type, and I didn't have to talk with people.
Yeah.
And those are the jobs, again, that could be offshored or AI'd. I just created a new verb. Those jobs can be AI'd.
Yeah.
Right? Where our value comes from our interaction, right? It's the critical thinking skills, the interviewing skills, right? One of the stories I tell, and then I'll come back to the second course, is I was working on a project where I was documenting a object database. My degree happens to be in computer engineering, so I get the really techie jobs.
Yeah.
And this particular database, there's two ways of getting information out of it. You could find, I want Joe Jones in Costa Mesa, California, give me their record. Or you could give me whole sets of data. Find me everybody in California who makes more than $40,000 a year in these zip codes. And those were two completely interfaces. And I was the only one documenting both sides and discovered that one team assumed the color was blue. The other one assumed it was red. And if they waited till they got to integration testing, it would have failed. So I got the team leads from both teams together in a room with brownies, right? And said, listen, I can document this either way, but you guys need to decide on the same thing.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in development costs I saved that company because I spotted that error before they got to integration testing, right? But I also have the self-confidence to get those people in the same room and demand, not ask, demand that you guys fix this, right? Because now I'm representing the company, not just doing my job as a tech writer, right?
Yeah.
The second thing I recommend is taking a class at improv comedy. Improv, you say?
I panic just thinking about that.
Why?
Because I could never think of jokes like that on the fly. Like I just couldn't do it.
Which everybody says. And what's ironic is the first thing they teach you to do in improv is stop thinking.
Yeah.
If you're thinking ahead, you're not listening to your partner. And the whole thing about improv is saying yes, and you take whatever they give you and add to it. So you're not thinking up something off the top of your head, right? You're just being there. And the classic example is, so you could be in a class and I could be pantomiming like I'm on a tightrope and go, Daddy, I'm scared. And your partner could go, well, be careful, Billy. Those alligators look hungry. Right?
Yeah.
But the reason I say improv, you will never again be thrown off by a question you weren't expecting from your boss. Right? Because you're listening, you hear what they say, and you go, yes. Or what if it's a really bad idea?
Yeah.
Right? You go, yes, we can do that. And we could also do this. And just deflect that into something that's, more sane or something we can do with the budget we have.
Yeah.
So public speaking, and then take a class in improv or several because they're fun.
Yeah.
In improv comedy. Yeah.
I'll have to think about that. Yeah, it still scares me to death to think about it. Okay. So there are a lot of tech writers out of a job and content strategists across the board from content operations. one of the things that I heard that you kind of do are tips for resumes. Like what, and there's something about images in resumes that
Sure.
catch are caught by the AI writers. Like what's that?
All right. I'm probably going to give you a link to a whole article I wrote on this that you can put in the liner notes.
Okay.
It's the subject of what's called applicant tracking systems, where if you're applying for a job through a company's website, back in the day, an ATS just tracked where you were in the sales cycle, interview cycle, right? The advent of mobile devices changed everything, where now you could go to a site like Dice or Monster and Indeed and create a resume and a bot saying anytime the word content appears, so tell me, and then I could just go apply, 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 without even looking at the job.
Yeah.
So suddenly companies are getting hundreds of resumes, most of which aren't qualified for the position. Right. So they implemented AI just to weed out that 99% that are not even close to being qualified for that job. The problem is they're weeding out people who are qualified for the job as well.
Right.
Right. So one thing that I tell people is stop applying for jobs through applicant tracking systems. Right. Say there's an opening at John Deere Tractor in Pacoima. Find somebody on LinkedIn, maybe the documentation manager, maybe a tech writer. And here's the secret. A lot of companies give their employees bonuses for finding people so they don't have to post the job and get 1,000, applicants.
Yeah.
So reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I see there's an opening in your department. Can I send you my resume to forward on to the manager? Sure, I might get a $50 gift card out of that. Or if nothing else, the hiring manager might want to. Now, showing both sides of this thing, I've heard some people say, yeah, I want to be contacted. I'm trying to fill this role. I've heard another manager saying, I don't want to be contacted because I too get hundreds of resumes that aren't qualified. So what then I would recommend doing is asking permission first and saying, I'm interested in your position. I match the requirements. May I send you my resume? So do one of two things. Sure, send it over. 2, you won't get a response at all. Or they may say, apply for the job online, but I'll keep an eye out for your application.
That's good though, right?
Yeah. So even if the ATS puts you in the non-qualified, there's somebody there who can pick your resume out or application out and read it.
Yeah.
To get back to what you're saying about the ATSs, they're really, I say artificial intelligence, but they're not. They're pretty stupid. A lot of people try to do really pretty resumes and we'll put their title in as a graphic or their phone number in as a AIs can't read graphics.
Right.
Don't do that. Right. And part of the whole article is it not only reads your resume against the job requirements, it'll compare it against the job description. So now you need to have your resume match both. And one of the stories I tell is I have a friend who was a UI UX developer, user interface, user experience, and she was applying for jobs and not getting hits. If you do an internet search for, is my resume ATS friendly? There are many websites where you can post the job, post your resume, and it will tell you how good you think the AI will rank you.
Oh, yeah.
And she discovered that she was applying for UI UX developer jobs, but in her resume, she said UX UI developer. So any human would see UX UI is the same as UI UX.
Yeah.
The ATS said, nope, that's not a match, and rejected her.
Wow.
It's that stupid. So when in doubt, just avoid the ATS when you can.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that I look at a lot of job postings and they'll say, not sure if you're a fit, apply anyway. And it's like, that makes no sense because if these ATSs are going to strip you out if you don't have all the right qualifications, I mean, I suspect that's why a lot of people apply for jobs. They're hoping they'll see something in that person, the hiring person will, that'll flag them, even if they don't have they don't check every box on the list.
I have a job right now that I'm using a job board on, and we can even get to ask pre-qualification questions. How many years of this do you have? How many years of this do you have? And
Yeah.
I just distilled it down to the basic. And I said, how many of this years? And they say 5. I said, great. I look at the resume, they have 0.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say they're lying, but these are people doing anything they can to find a job,
Yeah.
but, I always tell people, don't be afraid to apply for a job if it's a bit of a stretch, but don't spend all that time applying for a job you're not even remotely qualified for.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to waste everybody's time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's a question for you. What if you talked about how there are companies that will appreciate and respect the doc team and those that don't?
Yes.
How do you determine if you're either looking for a new job or looking for a job because you've been laid off? How do you find the right companies to apply for?
First of all, I'm going to point out that in an interview, you, the audience, you are interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
Right.
If this is something that you're going to be doing for the next 2 to 5 years of your life, is this a team I want to work on? Is this a team that values me? Right. So one of the things you can do is just, if you do get an interview, is just ask the manager, tell me how your department is viewed within your company. Right. What problems are you running into that I can help solve? Because remember, they have all this money. They're not going to just give it to Jane, no, they're going to get the person who come in and solve their business problems. Right.
Yeah.
And it could be that the manager goes, oh, yes, we're not getting the respect we need, but here's our plan on how to do it. And I'll give you an example of this. 2 years ago, the head of content strategy from Salesforce was my keynote speaker at LavaCon. And they did a company-wide meeting where the CEO announced his intent to lay off the entire content team and replace them with AI.
Hmm.
That's how they heard about this. And they went, oh, no, that won't do. And it was a classic example of the CEO have drank the Kool-Aid that AI can replace everyone. So they got to work, one, rebranding, right? Without laying off for teams. You're no longer a technical writer, you're a content engineer. You're no longer a tech writer, you're a prompt engineer, right? You're no longer an editor, you're a AI output quality control specialist. And then they went and proved, yes, we're going to use AI. This is where we're saving money, right? Maybe we won't get increased headcount, but at least you're not going to lay off my entire team.
Yeah.
Right. So ask a new company that you're interviewing with, what is the current situation? How can I help you? Not how can you help? It's not what's in it for me. It's what's in it for the company.
Yeah.
And even in your resumes, people listening, right? It's not, objective. I'm looking for a company that can nurture me as an individual and where I can grow. No. I'm looking for a company where I can help, what's in it for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah. Change the story, make it about them.
It's got to be about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle said she's 100% on the improv. She learned to think on the fly as a journalist major. Took public speaking in theater in undergrad. She was smart. You're validating her skills. All
Yep.
right. Any other tips you have for people that are hunting for a job or trying to make sure they, save the job they have in the company that they probably love working for?
Andrea Ames rose to the highest level in IBM that anybody from a content background did. She has since left to start her own consultancy. But at the time, when asked, what do you do for a living? She said, I solve business problems. Not I'm a content strategist, not I'm a usability advocate, all of which she was, right? But she positioned herself within her company as someone who solves all their content problems. And when I asked her, well, how do you find problems to solve? She goes, I get on my director's calendar once a quarter and ask, what's keeping you up at night that my team can help solve? Right. So when they came time to do layoffs, who do you think they're going to lay off? The person solving all their problems? No. So again, we're getting back to personal public relations, right? It's not you sitting in waiting for somebody to throw something over the cubicle that you can write and give back. It's you going out and being an integral part of the product development team, making sure people know you're an integral part of that product development team and making a difference.
Yeah. It's a big mindset, I think, for some people, though, to switch from this is my job, these are my tasks and activities, to thinking it on a more broader level, like kind of taking it up a couple levels.
I remember this one writer in Orange County when we would go to meetings and say, "Hey, this is what I'm looking for." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't do none of that online help stuff. I just write man." Okay, good. You know, your days are numbered.
Good luck.
You know? And here's the deal. We've always been on the cutting edge of technology. I mean, we went from DOS to Windows, to 3.1, Windows 95, Windows XP. Then we went for online help and then XML-based help and then web-based help. By definition, we document things that don't exist yet, and we use the latest publishing technologies. So if you're not comfortable keeping up, this may not be the career for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk you out of the career, but if you want stable, doesn't change, work for the DMV.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. All right. These were really great points, Jack. I really appreciate it. I think our listening audience got some good ideas from you there. So thank you for that. I just want to pivot for the last few minutes. Tell me about LavaCon. Like, why did you start it? When and how long have you been doing it?
This is our 24th anniversary.
Wow, 24
Yeah.
years. Cool.
So how we started back when the STC was around, it was broken out into 8 regions, both of which contain chapters in the Pacific Rim. And at Leadership Day 1998, someone observed it's a shame that none of the chapters in the Pacific Rim ever get to go to their own regional conference because they're always held in the mainland US. And someone just kind of threw out there, let's have a combined Region 7 regional conference, hold it smack dab in the middle in Hawaii. And I raised my hand and went, I'll run that one.
Right.
We had it in the fall of 2000. It was the STC Pan-Pacific Conference. It was a one-time event. And our break even was about 140 people, 560 showed up. And at the end, everyone kept going, I can't wait till next year. I'm going, there is no next year. I can't wait till the next one. Maybe there's an opportunity here. So I got some seed money together. And part of the success was we were in Hawaii. So I started LavaCon, Lava Big Island.
Yeah.
And that worked great until 2008 when the economy crashed and I could not get people to Hawaii if my life depended on it.
Yeah.
So I brought the conference back to the mainland. However, by then we were known for not only having great program, but featuring local foods, local music, local culture. So we brought that aloha spirit with us. So we have the conference in fun, walkable places, highlighting local music, local foods, local culture. As Kevin Meglick, my director of operations, says, we appreciate, we don't appropriate. Right.
Yeah. Nice.
And so we kind of became, as the industry has changed over the years. Sarah. Hey, Sarah. We've kept up with the times. One of the things I said, if you've been watching the progression of the industry, remember like 6 years ago, everything had to be micro content. We got to do micro content. And next year, crickets. And after that, chatbots. We're going to everyone's got to do chatbots. Then crickets. Remember the metaverse? Everything was going to go metaverse. So my job has always been what's coming down the line that people need to keep up with. Now we've kind of gone full circle back to chatbots again with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think AI is going away. But again, I don't think it's the end all. It's going to take our jobs away. It's just going to help us do our jobs faster, easier, better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the people that understand that the most are the people doing the jobs, as opposed to maybe running the companies.
Which is why public relations again comes into play. You have to let people know what you can do. Said, listen, I know what you want to do. We tried. Oh, let's prototype. Okay, look at the output. Oh, and I read something interesting on the internet this morning that somebody sent me a link to. Is what do you do when your manager says, oh, use AI to do this and you'll get great results? Well, no, that's wrong. Sit down and go, okay, let's use an AI to read about our company. How close did they do to getting it right? Let's use an AI to ask about this. How close did they get to getting it right? Okay, Karen, right? And show that, I mean, Sarah O'Keefe used AI to write a resume for her, and it gave her a PhD in mathematics that she didn't have.
I'll take
right?
it. Yeah.
There are law firms that use AI to write briefs that quoted law cases that didn't exist. Right. So just because an AI says it doesn't make it true. Just because it's on the internet, it doesn't. I mean, I've heard Benjamin Franklin said that just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're still in the phase of we've gone beyond proof of concept. Companies are actually using AI. Now let's see, what can we do? What can't we do yet?
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's not all business at the event.
Yeah.
Tell me how the puppies came into play. Like what happened there?
This is a classic story. So one of the values of coming to a conference like ours is networking, right? And we make time for networking. In fact, if you don't have business cards, we will print them for you.
Oh, cool.
And and one year we did speed networking. All you had to do was sit down at a table and go, hi, I'm Jack from IBM, and go around the table. Everyone else does that. 15 minutes later, you go to a new table. How hard could this be? Well, apparently I so traumatized the introverts, making them talk to people, that one of the things they asked for was a quiet room with puppies to recharge their introvert batteries.
And you gave it to them.
Ever since then, we've brought in therapy dogs. And then during the pandemic, some farmer put a llama on their Zoom call and went, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And we did that. And then we went back to in person and we started bringing in therapy llamas.
That's so cool, right?
Yeah, it's kind of one of our, we have to keep doing it now because the line was down the hall, out the block, Yeah.
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 So can you tell me like just some of the top sessions that you're kind of looking forward to hearing about?
Well, yes. What's interesting is a couple of years ago, everything was about AI, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, we've moved past that. We do have an AI track, right? And we have a case studies track. So now you can see how are companies actually doing what they're doing, right? However, the basics of content strategy still exist.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to build a content business case for content initiatives, right?
Yeah.
You have to get a budget. How do you build a content development team? All those things that no documentation manager I know of went to Harvard Business School. They learned it on the job.
Yeah.
Right. So the soft skills on managing teams, my audience tends to be a senior professional, a documentation manager, director of content strategy, content strategist. So we don't really do how do you create conditional text from FrameMaker. There are other conferences for that.
Yeah.
But all those things that you wish you would have known, or Sarah O'Keefe coined a term, the hallway track, right? Where you're just talking to somebody in the hallway. I said, we're trying to do that. Oh yeah, we do that. This is how we did it. You didn't find that on a session. You found that talking to somebody at the cocktail reception.
Yeah.
Right. Or the networking reception. I'm sorry. We'll just say networking reception. Right. And we also have a virtual, we've been doing a virtual track for over 12 years now. So we were prepared.
Ask you about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't get travel budget, then attend virtually. The virtual experience is almost, if not better than in-person experience at times.
Yeah. Alex says, when I use AI, my first line is do not generate. Cut lots of BS, but not all of it. Yeah. It's a good point. All right. Well, we're really excited that LavaCon has come on board as our media sponsor. You have lots of great people at your conferences talking and learning stuff. So we're hoping that we can get some of them to come on and talk to us as well. So we're kind of
Yep.
excited about that. So we do thank you for being a part of the Content Matters podcast. We have been working really hard to bring this kind of information to content strategists, content operations people, and it's nice to see that you want to be a part of it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. We'll also invite anybody who's not already connected with me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Jack Molisani on LinkedIn, right? And when I get in as a recruiter, when I get a new job in, where do I look first? My first degree contacts. So please, if you have a question, we didn't really get to a question and answer in the podcast because of the format it's in.
Yeah.
If you have a question that you wanted asked that you couldn't, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to converse with people.
Okay. All right. You talked about giving away a virtual pass. How do you want to do that? That's kind of.
Yeah. We don't have a window where I can see who's online right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a random number generator. However many people are currently on the podcast or watching live. And then I'll get that number and I'll give it to you, and you can look through the list of registrations and let that person know. And then we'll give you a link to the free virtual registration link.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. That works for me. Okay. All right. Thanks for being with us today, Jack. Really appreciate it.
And thank you for the invite. I had a ball.
Cool. And I want to thank the Discover CX by Ingenix. They are the main sponsor of the Content Matters podcast. Ingenix helps companies make content creation easier, and you can manage and deliver it so customers can find the answers they need. Discover CX by Ingenix is built for teams that need to deliver customer portals, help docs, and success sites. It lets you write once and reuse everywhere, pull content together from different sources, and publish to any channel. Built-in XML authoring, AI features, customer portal, headless content delivery, everything you need to keep your content clear, consistent, and easy to find. The modern way to deliver customer experience. You can check out ingenix.com or discovercx.com to learn more about those products and how they work, and sign up for our newsletter because we always let you know what's upcoming on the podcast. It's a LinkedIn newsletter, so it's easy to get, and any other great content that we always want to share with you guys. So thank you everyone for listening. Anne says, thanks, Jack. And I kind of repeat that. Thank you. And thank everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Take all.